What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today I want to make a helpful guide for newer players. So since I did my new account challenge like a month ago, I became Valiant in 14 days. I wanted to use this knowledge to actually make a video that's going to help out new players or other players with their newer accounts. So there's going to be a lot of tips here and also things you need to be careful of. So we're going to start with this first thing. If you get a version of Lady Deathstrike, she is the fastest champion to use in the beginning. Like I'm talking even faster than 4 stars. The 2-star version of Lady Deathstrike is faster than most 4 stars in Act 3, Act 4. So check this out. This is going to be basically every single fight you do. We have class disadvantage. This is Act 3, Chapter 1. And look what's going to happen in every fight. You're basically going to do 2 full combos and they are done for. So any version of Lady Deathstrike is going to be awesome if you get her at the start. So this is what I did with my first free-to-play account, and I was really lucky to get that 2-star Lady Deathstrike from the mail, and that helped out a lot. Did the run a lot faster. Now, you need to make sure you create a Kabam account so you can get the rewards from the web store. This is huge because there's most likely going to be a code, a promo code, or even 2 at that time you start. There's always codes active that are going to give you lots of good stuff. Now you need to be careful because before actually applying the code, you might want to wait to get a better progression level, because most of the codes, it's based off your progression level, what rewards you're going to get. So you might want to wait until you become like Cavalier or Thronebreaker to get like better stuff. Then you need to fully explore Acts 1, 2, and 3, because check out those rewards. You get so many units, and this is not just those 150 you get from quests as well. We're exploring those quests, and this is literally like 2 paths. This is very, very easy. You spend only 1 energy, you get revives, premature crystals. Look how many units there is. Like, it's just Act 1, 2, and 3 gives you tons of ISO, tons of revives, units. Like, you must do it. It's like, even now, even if you're like a Thronebreaker, or even if you're like Paragon now or Valiant and you haven't done this, like, man, you need to, because this is great stuff. So you have to do this. Now, I don't recommend fully exploring Act 4. I don't think it's worth it. I think it actually takes too long, and it also, requires lots of energy. It does have some good stuff, but if you move on to the later acts, you're gonna get those rewards anyway. Like, look at this, you got a 6-star here, so you don't really need the 5-star from Act 4. I think it's just a waste of time. You could do it, but I would not recommend to do it. Now, moving on to Act 5, this is gonna be the hardest fight you're gonna have to fight, the Collector. The 5.2.6. This is gonna be a really difficult fight because eventually he's gonna go below 50%. And below 50%, he has unblockable specials. They are basically undexable unless you're MSD, and I think 99% of the community is not. So this is actually going to be the hardest fight you're gonna have to do until Act 6. So be prepared, man. That Collector is definitely gonna ask for a few of your revives. Now, I also recommend, if you have White Max for him, because he has a tenacity, you can get that passive stun. If you want to put that pre-fight, and also a Heimdall will be really helpful too. Now, the only thing you want to spend your units on is the 200 unit XP boost that gives you 75% XP for 3 days. I will have that up on the screen so you can see it. You definitely want to buy it as soon as you can. If you start the game like day 1, you definitely want to buy it. And you also can spend, if you want to spend some money, you can buy those very cheap, like, $1 offers. Those are always like great value if you want to spend in the game. That's what you should do. Those offers are very cheap and they actually give you some good stuff. If you want to spend though, you don't have to. You can definitely advance without spending there. Now, after every chapter of Act 6, you get an offer. Once you complete Chapter 1, after the Sentinel, you're gonna get an offer. I will have those offers up on the screen, and they are very similar. Like the first offer for 6.1, we can see it costs 830 units. It gives you a 5-star rank up gem crystal. It gives you 25 level 5 potions, 15 level 5 health potions team, and then level 3 revives. This is 10 team and 15 single ones, and then 20 energy refills. the equivalent of 600 units just for the energy refills. You want to spend your units there because it's good resources for revives and stuff like that, and you basically get so much energy, which is actually a problem when you start an account. However, now that the energy is stacking up, you're not going to have an issue like on the first 2 days, but you're going to definitely need all of those revives because Act 6 you start using 2 energy per tile, so you definitely want to buy those offers. I recommend you to buy all of them. I didn't have enough units to buy all 4 of them, but I did buy 3 of them, and man, I needed those revives. They were very good, and the energy. Now you can also spend some of your units on masteries. You know, it's always nice spending those units for masteries. I'm going to tell you some of the best ones. You know, obviously you're going to have dexterity and parry. You definitely want to have those. I'm sure you know that already though. But the next one you should unlock is willpower. Now this is kind of expensive. It costs 2 of those big carbonadium cores, which is 550 units each. But if you have the sigil, which you get it for the first week, it costs 500. You can buy 1 of those for 500, so you're going to save up some like units there. 50 units. You only need 1 point in it, so you know, you just unlock it, put that point in, and that's it. Now there's a chance you get the free carbonadium core from the weekly webstore crystal, which is what happened to me on my Fixit 136 account. And I basically only had to spend 500 units to unlock willpower because I got the other one from the weekly website crystal for free, which was like so clutch. Now after willpower, you want to unlock despair if you want to. This is a very good mastery. Basically, when you have debuffs on the opponent, you reduce their healing effects, and this can go up to a maximum of 100%. So if you have 3 points in this, it's 15%. So you basically need like I think 7 debuffs and you fully just shut down the healing. Now if you have 1 point in it, you need 20 to fully shut down. So it's still very good because you don't need to like fully shut down. Sometimes you might want to like reduce it. So despair is amazing, as well as cruelty and precision. Sorry, precision and cruelty. Those are very expensive though. I think they cost like 5 stony cores each, which is 135 units for 1. So those are definitely very expensive. You might not be able to get all of them, but there is something you can do if you want to save up some units with the stony master cores. Once you're level 15, I believe, or if you finish Act 3, you're going to unlock the back issues. Now the back issues are actually pretty difficult, but you can switch to this variant. If you go from variant to classic difficulty, most of the variants you will see, they have stony cores, not the first 3 apparently, but if you go classic, you will see first exploration is a stony mastery core, and I think you can get 5 in total if you like click all those. Yeah, there's another one, and then yeah, I think it's 4. It's 3 or 4, so you can get some carbonadium coins from there. This is very easy content because you just go for the classic one. It's like the team recommendation is going to be like very low, 500. You can basically auto farm this as well. Gonna cost you a bit of energy, but that is not the biggest deal. If you want to do that, you know, you can. It's very easy. Now let's move on to Act 6. Act 6 is where the difficult part begins. There's a lot of fights you need to be careful of, man. So here we are starting with Act 6.1, and we are starting with the global nodes. So 6.1, it has this very fun node called No Retreat. If you double dash back, you get a degen on you. This degen does 200% of the defender's attack, and let's say Joe Fix's attack here is 4,000. So you can basically take 10,000 damage from that degen. It's quite a bit, especially if you're not using, you know, 7 stars or 6 stars, which you're probably not going to on Act 6. So yeah, 6.1 is definitely where the tough part begins. Now for 6.1.2, this is actually a very difficult quest. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. This is a very difficult quest, and there's 2 fights that you need to be prepared before you enter this. So if we go Act 6.1.2, there is the global, which is basically, I think it's special delivery. Yeah, it's special delivery. So you have to throw a special within 15 hits of your 15 combo hits. If you don't throw a special within 15 hits, you get a degen on you, which I think it does 100% defense attack. Still, you know, not much, not as no retreat, but it still does a lot. Now those two fights that you need to be careful of. This is the Biohazard Sentinel. This guy, you basically need someone that's bleed immune, otherwise you're gonna die. You could also bring someone that's poison immune just in case you hit their block, but you know, bleed immune can definitely do the fight. Now this fight, this guy has the EMP modification. This means that whenever you trigger a buff, you're gonna get one of those passives on you, and then when he throws a special, you're gonna take some shock damage, and that's quite a bit. Depends on how much you know how many buffs you trigger before he throws a special. Now there's two ways you can prevent this from happening. Is that you're either gonna be buff immune or you're gonna be shock immune. Now this is a lot better if you're buff immune because you also basically ignore spite. Spite, they get power gain whenever you have a buff on you. So you know, if you have dexterity and you use someone like Titania, it doesn't matter. You basically counter both of those nodes. Those are the two things you need to be careful of in this quest. Bring a bleed immune and then a shock immune or a buff immune. Now for 6.1.3, there is long distance relationship. This is actually, you know, pretty easy. One of the easiest for a 6.1. 6.1.4 has close encounters. It's pretty difficult. Basically, when you're close to them, you start healing, but if you're far away, you start degening, and the degen is, it hurts. It hurts a lot more than when you get the regen, obviously. So definitely need to be careful on that quest. Maybe you need some potions. 6.1.5. This is going to be the Crossbones quest. So this Crossbones, the global of this quest is that you get a bar of power whenever they get a bar of power. So if you want to throw a special 2, you're going to have to bait a special 2 as well. And this guy has poison. So you're going to need to bring a poison immune for this Crossbones. So far, you need a bleed immune for that Sentinel, shock immune or buff immune for the Ultron, and a poison immune for a Crossbones. Now moving on to 6.1.6, this is the Heart Locker. So you can't throw a special, you can't throw the same special attack in a row. Not that difficult, pretty easy stuff. Moving on to Act 6.2.1. This is a very fun global, and it is Life Cycle. So Life Cycle, you basically want to do a few knockdowns, like 5 to 10 knockdowns before you actually kill them, because they actually start to heal as well. If you try to kill them and the shield is not on cooldown, they are going to heal, I think, like 10% of their health. Let me actually see what it says. Yeah, if the shield is active when you knock them down, they get 10% of their maximum HP. So this is where Despair would be very useful. If you have debuffs before you knock them out, like, they will not die if the shield is up, but they're not going to heal either. So if you have Despair, that's actually very, very huge. One of the many situations where, you know, Despair is clutch. Now, this is going to be another very difficult boss, very demanding boss, I should say. So this is the 6.2.2 Caustic Temper Mr. Sinister. This guy, you need to have Furies and Poison Immunity. You need to do that. Now, if you can bring someone that is also immune to Incinerate, is great. Because when I was doing this, I used Ultron, and then I also had the synergy with Warlock, where basically whenever I trigger an immunity, I get a Fury. So I trigger immunity by being poison immune with Ultron. But I eventually I was critting for a lot here, and my crits were exceeding 5% of his max health. So every time I was critting, I took Incinerates. And there's just no way you survive this Incinerate. Eventually, you're gonna have to, you know, revive up. So you can use Heimdall with Angela or Hela. That gives you an indefinite Fury. This is great. And then you can basically use any poison immune champion or Incinerate. But you want to have Poison and Fury. This is Poison Immunity and Fury. You can't do this fight otherwise. However, you can do this fight if you're not immune to Incinerate. You're just going to have to spend like a few potions or revives. Now for 6.2.3, there is actually a tricky boss here, which I did not expect. So this global here is going to be Icarus. If the attacker has more than 8 Furies, or one of them expire, you start degening. So this is not that bad. Basically before 8 you want a heavy attack and remove all of them. But there's this Omega Red boss. If you have a degen, this Omega Red actually pauses his spores on you. So yeah, this can actually be very tricky. You need to take this fight very slow. Unless you have Hercules, obviously. But yeah, be careful. This Omega Red was actually pretty tricky when I fought him. So for 6.2.4, it is the Destructive Feedback quest. So this is basically, they have a shield, they take 0 damage, and once the shield goes down, they take all the damage they would take. But if you take a blocked hit or a hit, you are going to take all that damage back, 100% of it. So basically deal some damage, avoid contact, and then once the shield is on cooldown, they're going to take all that damage. That's what you do. Now for 6.2.5, this is the Do Not Go Gentle Mordo. This quest is a bit difficult because of the global. Basically every 5 hits you're going to get a charge on you. You can remove it by doing a heavy attack or intercepting. You remove 2 if you intercept. And if you try to kill them while you have charges on you, you're going to take damage. And they're going to be left with 1 HP. So what you want to do against this Mordo, if I can find him, he has a node called Strength in Numbers. If you have some members in the team that are dead, you're going to lose 12.5 attack and ability accuracy. So if you have like 4 team members that are dead, you're going to lose 50% of that, 50% of your attack and ability accuracy. So a tip I recommend in this fight is pop a team revive so you don't miss any of your parries due to ability accuracy reduction, and you can finish out the fight faster because you're not going to have decreased attack. Now 6.2.6, we have the champion boss. You ideally want to have someone with neutralize or someone that nullifies, and this fight is pretty easy now that it's been nerfed. And then moving on to 6.3, this is a Do You Bleed Medusa. So this Medusa has a buffet which heals her a lot. So you want to have someone that bleeds either passively or just has debuffs. I personally used Kate Bishop with Caltrops. She did really well. Now you might, if you have someone that triggers a lot of buffs, it's going to be a problem unless you have Despair, because she's going to start healing like crazy. And if you're struggling, you might want to remove your Dexterity, because Dexterity is a buff. It's going to trigger buffet. So if you remove that, you're going to have an easier time against that Medusa. Now for 6.3.5, the others are not that difficult. 6.3.5, you want to have a poison immune for that Mysterio, because if he gets passive, he might just poison you, and that poison ticks for a lot. Now this is my favorite fight of 6.3.6. It's not really. So this fight kind of sucks. This fight basically is asking for your revives. This might actually be the hardest fight of Act 6. So it's this Captain America where he throws his specials from Special 1, Special 2, Special 3. Now obviously if he throws a Special 3, it's not that good, because he also has Aggression Fury. He might kill you. And he also has Destructive Feedback. So Destructive Feedback is this node that basically they start with the shield, they take 0 damage, and then they take damage when the shield goes out. Now this damage, when they take it, it's red numbers. This guy does not take any damage unless it's critical. So when he has the Destructive Feedback shield on, you do not want to hit him, because you're just basically going to feed him power, and then when the shield goes on cooldown, he's still not going to take damage because it's on red. So this fight kind of sucks. You need someone that has high crit chance or guaranteed crits. Hit Monkey, Stark Spidey, Shang-Chi, very good for that fight. You can also use someone that has power control like Taunt or Power Drain. Stark Spidey has both, a very good option for that, and he crits as well, one of the best options for this fight. Now a huge tip, bring Heimdall. Heimdall is going to survive. It's going to let you survive another cycle of Surging Vengeance. If you die from a Special 3, you're not actually going to die. And then after the Special 3, he goes back to Special 1, Special 2, Special 3. So you're going to be alive for a lot longer with Heimdall. You definitely want to have Heimdall on this team. So yeah, this fight is going to be a bit difficult. Don't worry, it's one of the hardest fights ever. Up next, 6.4.6 Grandmaster. So this guy, your first time, it's going to be difficult, because you're not going to know what you're doing. So I would definitely suggest watching a guide for this Grandmaster. I don't think I have one, but there's a lot of them out there. The only one thing I'm going to say is be ready for revives. If it's your first time, this fight kind of sucks because towards the end, he actually puts some reverse controls on you. And the timing is really tricky because once you get to the reverse controls, he most likely is going to throw a special and you're just going to be confused. This is usually what happens. So, you know, don't be afraid that this guy, he's actually not that bad, but if it's your first time, you know, don't get stressed out if you're dying a lot. It's normal. Now, moving on to Act 7. 7.1 is pretty easy. There's nothing really I want to comment here. But 7.2. 7.2, we have Grandmaster. Grandmaster, there is this path that I took on my newest free-to-play account. It's pretty difficult. It's Mixed Master, and then they basically, when they have an armor up on them, they're fully unblockable. It's actually pretty tricky. If you have an evade counter or venom and stuff like that, some of that armor breaks, you're gonna have a good time. And you want to do this path if you have the options, because you get some massive furies, as you can see, against Grandmaster. You get 300% attack every 10 seconds. Those are indefinite. This is gonna allow you to skip a lot of phases from Grandmaster. And some of her latest phases are the worst ones. So definitely suggest doing this path if you have a counter for the evade. You're going to be set. Now moving on to 7.3 Kang. Now by the way, I am going to put some guides in the description below for 7.3 Kang, 7.4 Kang, 8.2 Bahamut, 8.3 Sarastes, 8.4 Glycan, and Orochi. I don't have a guide for 8.1 Cytalis, but we're going to talk about it in a second. So this Kang, the only thing you don't want to do is bring someone that has ability accuracy reduction or immunity to power drain, because eventually you will want to get power drained, and if you're immune to it, it's actually going to mess you up. And also, if you have ability accuracy reduction, you're not going to know when you're going to get power when you dex and when you're going to lose power when you block. So definitely don't bring someone with ability accuracy reduction or power drain immunity. Now this is the 7.4 Kang. I'm going to put a guide for this guy. You know, you can use someone like Mr. Fantastic for more debuffs or Odin for more buffs, because you basically deal more damage throughout his phases when you have more unique buffs, more buffs in general, and damaging debuffs and stuff like that. If you want, you can check the guide in the description below. So 8.1 Cytalis. This fight is actually not that difficult. She basically places some traps, and whenever she has the one number icon right there, you need to bait a special one and throw her into her trap, and that's how you deal your damage. You either throw her with your specials or with your heavies, and on the last phase you just can't throw her with heavies, you can only throw her in the traps with specials. That's all you really need to know, but you can check out a guide if you want to. 8.2 Bahamut. This fight I'm gonna have a guide as well, but if you want to speed up this fight, because this is a very long fight, you want to use someone like Valkyrie or someone that has Purify in general. So like a skilled champion like Kingpin, Shang-Chi, very fast for this fight. 8.3 Sarasti. This is by far the easiest fight of Act 8, the easiest boss of Act 8. You just want to have a relic on this guy and then you're going to be set. 8.4 Glycan. Same thing, you want to have a relic on this fight, and if you have a mutant power boost and use someone with like huge special attacks, you can just back-to-back special 2s and kind of cheese this guy. Now this also works for Orochi. 9.1 boss here. If you have another mutant power boost, you can basically back-to-back special 3s with Professor X, Northstar, which actually consume less power, and then they're gonna get more power from the power boost. So this is what you can do. Those power boosts definitely help for those later bosses. And this is basically what I want to talk about, man, for the guide. So again, if you want some more information about those special bosses in Act 7 and Act 8, I will have guides for most of them. The only one I don't have is Grandmaster and Cytalis. I found them pretty easy, so I didn't feel like I'm making one. But yeah, man, I really hope this helps you guys, especially if you're new. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. I'm going to answer those. And yeah, if you have any, other questions, you can definitely stop by any of my streams when I stream, and I'm going to answer with the community. So yeah, guys, hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.